Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost, the one true God. Back with you with the next video in my series reading, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, as read by Lord Naren White. Without further ado, returning to The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. One day Buck and me was away out in the woods hunting, and heard a horse coming. We was crossing the road, Buck says. "Quick! Jump for the woods!" We done it, and then peeped down the woods through the leaves. Pretty soon a splendid young man come galloping down the road, setting his horse easy and looking like a soldier. He had his gun across his pommel. I'd seen him before. It was young Harney Shepherdson. I heard Buck's gun go off at my ear, and Harney's hat tumbled off from his head. He grabbed his gun and strode straight to the place where we was hid. But we didn't wait. We started through the woods on a run. The woods weren't thick, so I looked over my shoulder to dodge the bullet. Twice I seen Harney cover Buck with his gun, and then he rode away the way he come. To get his hat, I reckon, but I couldn't see. We never stopped running till we got home. The old gentleman's eyes blazed a minute. "'Twas pleasure, mainly," I judged. Then his face sort of smoothed down, and he says, kind of gentle, "I don't like that shooting from behind a bush. Why don't you step into the road, my boy?" "The Shepherdsons don't, father. They always take advantage." Miss Charlotte held her head up like a queen, while Buck was telling his tale, and her nostrils spread and her eyes snapped. The two young men looked dark, but never said nothing. Miss Sophia, she had turned pale, but the color came back when she found the man weren't hurt. Soon as I could get Buck down by the corn cribs under the trees by ourselves, I said, "Did you want to kill him, Buck?" "Well, I bet I did." "What did he do to you?" "Him? He never done nothing to me." "Well, then, what did you want to kill him for?" "Why, nothing. Only it's on account of the feud." "What's a feud?" "Why, where were you raised? Don't you know what a feud is?" "Never heard of it before. Tell me about it." "Well," says Buck, "a feud is this way. A man has a quarrel with another man and kills him. Then that other man's brother kills him. Then the other brothers on both sides goes for one another. Then the cousins chip in, and by everybody's killed off, and there ain't no more feud. But it's kind of slow, and takes a long time." "Has this one been going on long, Buck?" "Well, I should reckon. It started 30 years ago, or summers along there. There was trouble about something, and then a lawsuit to settle it. And the suit went again one of the men, and so he up and shot the man that won the suit, which he would naturally do, of course. Anybody would." "What was the trouble about Buck, land?" Excuse me. "What was the trouble about Buck, land?" "I reckon, maybe. I don't know." "Well, who done the shooting? Was it a Grangerford or Shepherdson?" "Laws, how do I know? It was so long ago." "Don't anybody know?" "Oh, yes. Pa knows, I reckon. And some of the other old people. But they don't know what the row was about in the first place." "Has there been many killed, Buck?" "Yes. Right smart chance of funerals. But they don't always kill. Pa's got a few buckshot in him, but he don't mind it 'cause he don't weigh much anyway. Bob's been carved up some with a bowie, and Tom's been hurt once or twice." "Has anybody been killed this year, Buck?" "Yes. We got one and they got one. About 3 months ago, my cousin Bud, 14-year-old, was riding through the woods on the other side of the river. He didn't have no weapon with him, which was blamed foolishness. And in a lonesome place he hears a horse coming behind him, and sees old Baldy Shepherdson a linking after him with his gun in his hand, and his white hair a flying in the wind. and started jumping off and taking to the brush. But, lo'd he could run out after him. So, they had it nip and tuck for 5 mile or more, the old man a-gaining all the time. So at last Bud seen it warn't any use. So he stopped and faced round so as to have the bullet holes in front, you know. And the old man he rode up and shot him down. But he didn't get much chance to enjoy his luck, for inside of a week, our folks laid him out. I reckon that old man was a coward, Buck. I reckon he warn't a coward. Not by a blame sight, not by a blame sight. There ain't a coward among them Shepherdsons, not a one, and there ain't no coward amongst the Grangerfords either. Why, that old man kept up his end in a fight one day for a half an hour against 3 Grangerfords and come out winner. They was all a horseback. He lit off his horse and got behind a woodpile and kept his horse before him to stop the bullets. But the Grangerfords stayed on their horses and capered around the old man and peppered away at him, and he peppered away at them. Him and his horse both went home pretty leaky and crippled, but the Grangerfords had to be fetched home, and one of 'em was dead, and another died the next day. No, sir, if a body's out hunting for cowards, he don't want to fool away any time amongst them Shepherdsons, because they don't breed any of that kind. Next Sunday we all went to church. About 3 mile, everybody a horseback. The men took their guns along, and so did Buck, and kept them between their knees or stood them handy against the wall. The Shepherdsons done the same. It was pretty ornery preaching, all about brotherly love and such like tiresomeness, but everybody said it was a good sermon, and they all talked it over going home, and had such a powerful lot to say about faith and good works and free grace and predestination, and I don't know what all, but it did seem to me to be one of the roughest Sundays I had run across yet. About an hour after dinner everybody was dozing around, some in their chairs and some in their rooms, and it got to be pretty dull. Buck and a dog was stretched out on the grass in the sun, sound asleep, and I went up to our room and judged I would take a nap myself. I found that sweet Miss Sophia standing in her door, which was next to ours, and she took me in her room and shut the door very soft, and asked me if I liked her. And I said I did, and she asked me if I would do something for her and not tell anybody, and I said I would. Then she said she'd forgot her testament, and left it in the seat at church between 2 other books. And would I slip out quiet and go there and fetch it to her, and not say nothing to nobody? I said I would. So I slid out and slipped off up the road, and there warn't anybody at the church, except maybe a hog or 2, for there warn't any lock on the door, and hogs like a puncheon floor in summertime because it's cool. If you notice, most folks don't go to church only when they've got to, but a hog is different. Says I to myself, something's up. It ain't natural for a girl to be in such a sweat about a testament. So I give it a shake, and out drops a little paper with 2:30 wrote on it with a pencil. I ransacked it, but couldn't find anything else. I couldn't make anything out of that, so I put the paper in the book again, and when I got home and upstairs, there was Miss Sophia in her door waiting for me. She pulled me in and shut the door. Then she looked in the testament till she found the paper, and as soon as she read it, she looked glad. And before a body could think, she grabbed me and gave me a squeeze, and said I was the best boy in the world, and not to tell anybody. She was mighty red in the face for a minute, and her eyes lighted up, and it made her powerful pretty. I was a good deal astonished, but when I got my breath, I asked her what the paper was about, and she asked me if I had read it, and I said no. And she asked me if I could read writing. I told her no, only coarse hand. And then she said the paper warn't anything but a bookmark to keep her in place, and I might go and play now. We'll go ahead and stop there for this week. As usual, I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. Light be with you all. Take care, and thanks again.